Ubisoft is in an extremely bad place right now. They had Skull and Bones, which was a quadruple A failure at the beginning of the year. Then X Defiant was not the Call of Duty killer they expected it to be. Star Wars Outlaws underperformed, and we just recently found out that they are delaying Assassin's Creed Shadows going into 2025. And while tons of people are talking about it, pointing and laughing, saying, hey, listen, it's still not going to change anything, now we have the Ubisoft CEO damage controlling, claiming that the company's goal is, quote, not to push any specific agenda, despite their website saying otherwise. I have a few different things to show off, but before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, Ubisoft is one of the many companies within the industry that has DEI quotas, and I say this all the time, diversity and inclusion are good things. The problem is the companies that are using them either as shields so content can't be criticized, and they're just going down checklists, and it's forced diversity. It's not done naturally or because the creatives felt passionately about the characters that they were designing. They simply said, oh yeah, you got to go down this checklist and you have to have a certain percentage of women or people of color, and you have to do it because we have quotas to uphold. And he's claiming that that's not the case, even though the lie detector has determined that that's a lie, and it has for years at this point. This is a That Park Place article. It says Ubisoft CEO Yves Guillemot claims that his company is not pushing any specific agenda, despite the company's website saying otherwise. This is the problem with statements from CEOs and executives, right? Because they try to damage control as they see all of the backlash on social media kind of getting out of control, and they're trying to quell the worries of investors, but really all it does is make the situation worse for them because they're not saying things that are true. They're just spewing blatant lies that everybody can see. Everybody can find these facts relatively easy. It says in a press release where they revealed they were revising their expected Q2 net bookings down from 500 to 350 to 370 million due to poor sales from Star Wars Outlaws, along with announcing a delay for Assassin's Creed Shadows. He first revealed the company was going to launch a review of itself. I did cover the Assassin's Creed Shadows delay in a previous video. It's not looking good for Ubisoft this year. They really expected that to be their big money maker in 2024. They're pushing it off to 2025. But what's really suspicious about their announcement is the fact that they're refunding everybody's pre-orders, and we never see that happen, where a company delays something by a couple of months and then they refund everybody across the board. Usually they offer refunds if you want them, but they don't really highlight it because they want you to just view it as like a couple of months delay and then you're going to get your product. So that to me screams that this game is nowhere near done and that they're not actually going to launch in February, but that's what they're claiming right now. But he said, in the light of recent challenges, we acknowledge the need for greater efficiency when delighting players. As a result, beyond the first important short-term actions undertaken, the executive committee, under the supervision of the board of directors, is launching a review aimed at further improving our execution, notably in this player-centric approach, and accelerating our strategic path towards a higher-performing model to the benefit of our stakeholders and shareholders. Yeah, it does not sound like the shareholders are extremely happy with them right now because things are not going good over at this company. Now, they claim that they are focusing on this player-centric approach, yet they have shown absolutely nothing to prove that, and all they've done with their recent releases is actually push customers away. He says, finally, let me address some of the polarized comments around the company lately. I want to reaffirm that we are an entertainment-first company, creating games for the broad broadest possible audience, and our goal is not to push any specific agenda. We remain committed to creating games for fans and players that everyone can enjoy. So he's either straight up lying or he's an absolute idiot, because that is exactly what is going on at Ubisoft right now with the games that they're launching. Maybe he really doesn't know about the content they're putting into titles and he only sees a little bit of the backlash on social media, and that makes him a complete idiot because he's not truly paying attention, but he's reading from this script that is completely inaccurate, or he knows and he's just straight up lying to try to quell the worries of the people that give them money and make it so that they can create Star Wars Outlaws games and Assassin's Creed Shadows games. But either way, it is not a good look because it's a straight up lie. I mean, if you just take a quick peek at their website, like most companies' websites, they have DEI pages talking about their goals. It says, however, this is an obvious lie, as their website makes it very clear it does have a specific agenda. On the company's diversity, inclusion, and accessibility page, a statement from Ubisoft's vice president of global diversity says, for us, putting diversity and inclusion at the heart of everything we do means providing an environment where employees can thrive, building open-minded communities where players can connect, and creating games that reflect the diversity of the world we live in. I think it's rich that they talk about how they want to build an open-minded community where players can connect. When you look at their socials and they lock down tweet threads, they make it so you cannot communicate with other players, they hide responses that they simply do not like, that their social media managers don't like. If you look at their Reddits, the subreddits will ban conversations entirely because the moderators get sick and tired of bad faith actors, which are simply people criticizing the product, coming in and just wanting to have a conversation. Like, they do not know the community that they have fostered, the environment that they have created. And of course, I can get down with other things like an environment where employees can thrive, but at the end of the day, there are tons of activists that work at these companies, so I don't particularly feel bad for them when they complain about, oh, how long their work week is, or, oh my gosh, we have to go through crunch. Like, you're still getting paid for it, and yes, I don't want there to be a Blizzard party at a Ubisoft, but at the same time, they are getting paid very well for their work. That's beside the point, though. We will not accomplish all of these goals overnight, just as it takes years of iteration to develop a AAA title. We will only become a more diverse and inclusive company by continuously improving. They boast about diversity and inclusivity, but these companies do the same thing over and over, where they try to promote inclusivity by exclusivity. They make it so white men or straight men or just men in totality cannot apply for mentorship programs and cannot get in these higher up positions because they, of course, at these companies now want to have a certain amount of, again, women or people of color, so these men are denigrated time and time again. They talk also about how in their content they want to be as diverse and inclusive as possible. In 2023, they made it clear that they had a focus on queer representation in games, as the inclusive games and content team works to accompany production teams, helping them identify opportunities to tell inclusive stories at the beginning of stages of production. They are reflecting in particular on how to provide frameworks and best practices for authentic queer representation, and they thought going forward that the best idea was to take a historical figure like Yasuke and allow him to participate in LGBTQ plus romances. That doesn't seem very historically accurate. That doesn't seem to me to be authentic queer representation, because you're just taking a representation of a real human being and you're making a mockery of them because there's no evidence to, sustain some kind of romance like that happening in this game. But they don't care, though they're going to have to start caring at some point here, given how terribly things are going for them financially. Again, all of their major launches this year have been complete and utter failures, and they were relying on Shadows to make them a boatload of money, and they've delayed it. And honestly, to me, it doesn't sound like it's even even releasing in February, but a financial analyst just had described Ubisoft's sales collapse and delaying of Shadows as a total meltdown as the stock price collapses. So it doesn't seem that anybody is particularly confident in Ubisoft at this point. So I think Yves here is going to have to make a lot more statements going forward and doing a lot more damage control. But it's interesting to see him try to make these statements and everybody be able to see through his lies and his BS, because it's clear as day that yes, they are trying to push agendas because their website states it, and they have stated it many times over the years. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this, give it a like, and if you didn't, give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I will talk to you all again in the next video really soon.